Hey folks, welcome back to Markelly Farm. Glad to have y'all here with us again. If you like apple fritters, stick around. We're going to make you the most appley apple fritters you're ever going to taste in your life. Come with us. So I love me an apple fritter, but since our move here to Nebraska, I've yet to find a good one. And even out in California, there were certain places that you got them because they were fantastic. Other places, they were really greasy and almost inedible. They were like a sugar puck, a greasy sugar puck. But we're going to make you some really good apple fritters. So let's get started. I'm going to have to apologize ahead of time for the background noise. We have our air fryer running, making some apple fruit leather in there. But we'll give you the recipe for that someday. So let's get our little mixing bowl out here. We've got 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour. To that, we're going to add 1/4 cup of just granulated sugar. To that, we're going to add 2 teaspoons of baking powder. Not to be confused with baking soda. One-half a teaspoon of salt. We can eyeball that with our 1 teaspoon measure. And the last installment to our dry mixture was 1.5 teaspoons of cinnamon. So we'll mix our dry ingredients together real quick. Got our dry ingredients mixed. We left a little well in the center. Next thing we're going to add is start adding our wet ingredients, one of which is 1/3 cup of milk. Okay, we got our 1/3 cup of milk. Pour that in the center. To that we're going to add 2 eggs and 3 tablespoons of applesauce. Normally we would have our own applesauce, but we didn't make any this year. And then we're going to stir this just to combine. You do not want to overmix this because your fritters will get tough, just like biscuit dough. Just bring it together and that's it. Our dough is just barely together. You can see the consistency of the dough. So now what we're going to mix is 2 cups of our canned apples right here, which will be about half of this jar, because this is a quart jar. There's 4 cups in a quart. So we'll put that in there, and then we're just going to fold it together. If you remember how to fold, just bring it up from the bottom and just toss it until the apples are mixed into the batch. We've got our batter. I don't want to call it a dough because it's not. It's a batter. We've got it all folded together. And then we're going to use our number 20 disher, probably about 1/4 cup or so, to dish those out. So next thing we need to do is get out our electric skillet, which I like to use for frying because it holds temperature at the correct degrees and you don't have to worry about it. So electric skillet it is. Now if you don't have canned apples, folks, do not worry. The recipe actually calls for fresh apples. And if you use fresh apples, you'll get more of an apple bite in the fritter itself. You'll still get the flavor this way. It's not a problem. But if you're using fresh apples, use 2 apples, peel it, seed it, core it, chop it like into little bite-sized little cubes, and just mix it right in the dough just like you would this other stuff. Got our electric skillet out. We've got it set on 375 degrees. Remember, this light will go out when we're up to temp. We have our draining station right here in front. So after they're done frying, we can pull them out. We're going to get our spider over here and maybe a couple chopsticks and get ready to fry. Now, if you've ever came across a really greasy apple fritter, it's because that the oil was too cold that it was fried in. If the oil's too cold, it allows the grease to seep into the fritter, which does not make for a good fritter. While we are waiting for our electric skillet to heat up, we're going to go ahead and mix together our glaze. So we have 2 cups of powdered sugar or confectioner's sugar, and then we've got a 1/4 cup of apple juice. Normally glaze is made with milk, but we're adding even a 1/3 layer of apple, which makes our apple fritters super appley. And then we're going to add 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla extract. We'll dump that in and we'll stir it up. If you've ever messed with powdered sugar, you'll know it doesn't take a lot of liquid to mix into that powdered sugar. It'll pretty much dissolve right into this. So I'll get my other hand going and we'll get this done quicker. There's our glaze. You can see that powdered sugar mixed down into that liquid, and it kind of ribbons. That's what you're looking for. And we did this in a narrower bowl because we want to be able just to dip the fritters in here instead of pouring it over the top, which you'll waste a lot. Especially if you put them on here, it'll all leak down through there. Here we can dip it like with a pair of tongs and then hold it up, shake off the excess before we put it on the rack. Okay folks, our oil is ready. The light has turned off, so we're going to get our fritters going. So I've got my scooper and I've got a chopstick. As I lay these in, I want to kind of elongate them a little bit because I don't want just a round ball. I want to thin them out so they'll cook better. So let's get our first one in there. Plop it right in there. Get it smashed down a little bit. It wants to kind of break apart, so you got to be careful. And then we're only going to cook these till they're just golden brown. And we're going to do 3. That way we don't cool down our oil too much. There we go. So we'll keep an eye on the edges of this first fritter here. And when it looks nice and golden brown around the edges, we'll use our 2 chopsticks to flip them over. Alright, it's only been about 40 seconds to a minute or so. We've got some golden brown around here, so we'll flip these over. And you want to wait about the same amount of time it takes to put them in. So I'll give it a few minutes or a few seconds here. Then we'll flip the next one over. And then give it about the same amount of time. And then we'll flip this one over. So about right there. And then we'll let them get golden brown on the other side. And then we'll pull them out with our spider. Alright. Doesn't take very long at all. We'll get this one drained out here. Put it on our cooling rack. Again, we're going to wait about the same amount of time in between. So this one's probably ready to go now. You can smell the apples. It smells fantastic. And then our light is back on over here, so before we put our next batch in, we will wait till that light goes back off again. While we're waiting for the skillet to heat back up, I'm going to dunk these fritters while they're still fairly warm, because if you wait till they're too cold, too much of the icing sticks to the fritter. So we'll throw it in there like that, give it a flip, and then we'll bring it out of the icing. Let as much as we can run off of it. And then we'll put it on the pan. Make sure we coat all sides of it. Pick it up again. I actually got the chopstick kind of poked into it to hold it. Draining some more off. Gives that perfect amount of glaze. Okay, next batch going in. This time I think I'm just going to kind of hollow out the middle. Kind of go around like that, just like that. There's our 3. Now you see how the oil is kind of bubbling up through the middle? That means the middle is getting cooked really well. So it's time to flip. Got a little piece in here floating around. We can get it out later. Flip the next one. Flip the next one. All right, out they come. Get our little piece out of here. We don't want our oil to burn up. Seems like a lot of oil, but when this cools, it's vegetable oil. We'll strain it and funnel it right back into the bottle and use it over. I try to keep the fritters with the correct side down. I'll pull it out just like this, because if I flip it over again, the grease is already drained off the top. I just want the grease to drain off the bottom. Just work your way under it. Leave it the same side up. Alright, we'll wait a little bit and we'll glaze these. Okay, let's put them in the glaze. I switched over to a fork because the fork will be a little bit easier to handle. And I can use it to get some of the glaze where it's not at. And once I let the bottom drain, I'll flip them over. Flip them over. Light's already off, so going in with our next one. There's our apple fritters, folks. Just got to let them cool a little bit, and then we can try one. We don't want to let them get completely cool because they're really good when they're just a little bit warm. But they're good cold too. Now when these fritters are warm, they are just really kind of fall apart, super tender. As they cool off, they get a little bit more firm. So depending on the firmness that you like them is how long you need to wait to eat them. Right, folks, it's time to give one of these a taste. I already know what they taste like, but I can't wait to dig in. There you go, I broke one in half. Just an absolute explosion of apple flavor. Fantastic. Wow, so good. You're going to love this recipe. Finger licking good. And with a warm apple fritter, there's nothing better than a cup of fresh, cold milk. All right, folks, that is going to do it. You're really going to love these apple fritters. They've got layers of apple flavor in them. Just fantastic. So, until next time, stay safe, stay healthy. We love you guys. Come back and see us here on Markelly Farm, where the content is always free.